I really don't know how this has happened again. Um, that I have so many books to show you. I think I really do have a problem with book buying, but what a problem to have. Hi guys, my name is Kirsty and welcome to Upside Down Books. Today I actually have the equivalent of 2 months worth of book hauls to do for you because somehow I managed to forget, just didn't get around to doing my book haul on either my blog or YouTube last month, so well done me. It's probably a good thing though, because we've got a nice sizable book haul to go through today. I have several books, I've got so many books for review that have been sent to me. It has been so overwhelming this last month trying to get through them, but I've read a decent chunk of them. I'm doing my best. I've also managed to accumulate quite a few of my own, as usual, and I have 3 audiobooks to share with you because I've also bought an extra one. I should only have two for 2 months, but I have like caught up somehow on my audiobook TBR. So I had to buy an audiobook outside of my monthly subscription. What does the world come to? So I'm just going to dive right in, otherwise this is just going to be way too long. So we're going to start with the audiobooks. It's going to start with the ARCs, but I'll forget about the audiobooks. So we're going to start with those. The first one that I bought was The Bells by Donielle Clayton. I talked about this in my wrap-up last week, or whenever I posted that video, and this one was really good. I have already read it. I've rated it 4 out of 5 stars. I'll let you go and watch the wrap-up and find that section if you want to know more thoughts on that. But yep, this is the follow-up to The Bells, so it's the sequel and finale to that series, and it was really good. The next audiobook that I bought was the one that I had to buy because I finished The Bells so quickly, and that is actually The Priory of the Orange Tree, which I am currently reading. Well done me. This book is a behemoth and I'm really proud of picking it up. It's also really confusing, but then I started reading The Ruin of Kings, which is another epic fantasy, and this is simple compared to that one, so I'm coping with it much better since picking up the other one. This book is actually only like 27 hours on the audiobook, which is long, but considering the next book I'm going to talk to you about is double that, doesn't seem so bad. This one is an epic fantasy set in a world that is sort of very much so set on, sort of based off the past, with virtuedom being like Christendom and all sorts of things like that. And it's all harking back to this one event that happened thousands of years ago with this dragon that came and did a lot of bad things. People slayed him and he's been asleep for 1,000 years, and that 1,000 years is pretty much coming to an end, so things are starting to get shaky. We've got all sorts of different religious beliefs, political things happening, and a slew of characters. The audiobook is really helping me to digest what's going on, especially because the narrator does fantastic voices and like some really good accents. Like, I'm really impressed, and it so makes the story. There's a couple of accents I don't like so much, but yeah, loving it. Highly recommend picking up the audiobook for this, guys. The third audiobook that I got with my next subscription that came through was The Fiery Cross by Diana Gabaldon. I think that's what it's called. This one is nearly 60 hours. It's nearly a 60-hour audiobook. I'm terrified to start reading it. It's also the 5th one in the Outlander series, which I have been loving so much, and I think I've taken about a 3-month break since I read the 4th one, just because they are such big books, and this sort of starting a new one when you finally conquered the previous one is just too much. But this woman writes such a good story. It is so enjoyable to just read. I'm not really sure where the plot's going at this point or how she's written so many books, but I'm really excited to finally be picking that one up as soon as I finish The Priory of the Orange Tree. So if you've read this, I'd really like to know what you think, and if you think the series gets better or if it just sort of plateaus. But that is the last audiobook that I got, so let's move on to the ARCs. The first ARC that I got is from Bloomsbury, and that is Watch Us Rise by Renee Watson and Ellen Hagen. This is a contemporary and it's about 2 girls, and it's all focused around them wanting to create art that matters. So one of them is really focused on poetry and the other one is focused on drama and the theatre. So they create this new group where they put women's ideas to the front because they believe that what they're doing with art can sort of change the world and create, I guess, new ripples of ideas. So this is all about them risking everything they have to try and get that women's voice out in the world, so I think this will be really interesting. This one came out, let me get my book. This one came out at the beginning of March, so it's already available. I haven't actually seen anything about it or heard anything about it yet, but if I get time, I'll pick this one up. It hasn't really been on my radar though, but thank you very much, Bloomsbury, for sending me a copy of it. It seems like a really good, empowering book. Probably wouldn't take that long to read, actually, so maybe on a cold afternoon with a cup of tea, I'll sit down with that one. The next book I got sent 2 copies of, and I don't know why, and that is Maria V. Snyder's new book, The Eyes of Tambura. This sounds amazing. I can't wait to read it. But Harlequin sent me 2 copies of it, and I don't know why. I'm very confused. In fact, at the beginning of this book, it says, uncorrected reading copy, not for sale, review or quotation. I mean, if anyone else got this, I'd love to know what's going on. I've never really received anything like that before. Maybe it's just for me to shake at your face so you can get excited about it. Isn't that a lovely cover though? It's lovely. I'm actually about to start reading Maria V. Snyder's latest book, which is Navigating the Stars. So I'm actually really impressed that she's come out with another book already. It has nothing to do with this. It is a fantastical book. This one is set in an underground desert city. Tick, interesting, can't wait. I think Maria V. Snyder has just been like on a rampage of good ideas lately that are just like, oh, I want that just because the setting's cool. So it's ruled by the Water Prince and the Heliacal Priestess, whatever that is. So the main character is an outcast. She's called Sunkissed, which means that they believe she's cursed by the sun goddess. So the reason for this is she's renowned for uncovering lost artifacts, like ancient maps and historical documents. She's sort of like a human metal detector for ancient objects. But then something interesting happens, and an archaeologist enlists her help to try and find the Eyes of Tambura, which are some precious stones. And then I'm pretty sure when I read this before, it's something along the lines of the eyes are stolen just after she finds them, and then she's blamed for it, and now she's on the run and everything has just gone to shit. So I think this book sounds fantastic. It is just shy of 500 pages, so it's a nice solid read. And there's so many people that are excited to read this. I forgot it was on my shelf in all honesty. So this one's actually coming out in July as well, so you do have to wait for it. Many apologies. Really excited to read this, so you better get this one on your radar for July, because I definitely think a lot of people are going to be wanting to pick this up. The next book I got sent was from Ellen and Unwin. Bit of left of centre, freaky cover. Apologise, going to start further away so you don't get so freaked out. And it's called The Honeymaker and the Hunter. Sorry, The Honeyman and the Hunter. I'm going to come closer now. This is just bees. This is the face of a tiger made out of bees. I'm gonna give you a close-up, so just, you know, sorry for anyone who's a bit squeamish. How freaky is this cover? This freaked me out, okay? I wasn't expecting this book in the mail, and I put my hand into the package, and when I took it out, I got a heart attack because all I saw was bugs and a terrifying tiger face, which scared me a lot. This one came out on the 1st of April, so it's already out. It's set in India. No, it's not set in India. Actually, I'm not really sure where this one's set. It's got a very interesting blurb going for it. I feel like it's probably going to be set somewhere in America, because it talks about somebody's grandmother arriving from India, and I think there's a bit of a history or a legend or some sort of prophecy or something, because it says, oh, maybe not even that. I don't know what to expect from this. They talk about going to Bengal on a journey of discovery and danger. So it's a tale of belonging and loss. I think it's just going to be a bit of a family story, but I don't know why the cover is so creepy, so I'll have to get back to you on this one when I've actually read it. The next book I received I've already read and reviewed and I talked about in my wrap-up video, and that was A Curse So Dark and Lonely by Brigid Kemmerer. This one came out at the beginning of February. Only 2 months behind on this one. Absolutely fantastic. This one ended up on my all-time favourite list for 2019 so far, so if you haven't read this one yet, you should. It is a Beauty and the Beast retelling. It is so well done, and it's nice and close to the original retelling without being too similar, so it's really enjoyable to sort of draw the parallels and comparisons to it. The next book I was sent I'm really excited about, and I feel a little bit like a little old lady for being excited about it, but that is The Spanish Promise by Karen Swan. I love Karen Swan so much. I was really surprised by Karen Swan's writing when I read another one of her books that was sent to me, which was her Christmas book for 2018, which was The Christmas Lights, which actually isn't really a Christmas book at all, so you can read it whenever. But she has an incredible writing style. Some really relatable characters, but the characters that were in A Christmas Lights were quite young, so I don't know if that's... She writes often different perspectives, and whether these ones are going to be a little bit more generic for maybe someone who's a little bit older than myself, but I'm really excited to pick it up just because it's just enjoyable stories that she's got. So I've got The Greek Escape, Christmas Lights, and The Spanish Promise. So we've got Greece, we've got Spain, and the Christmas Lights is set in... Really good question. Where was it set? It's set in like Scandinavia or somewhere like that. I think it might be Norway. So we've got some really cool settings and things happening, and I'm just really excited to read it. My mum has read all of these books, so I often get her to read it, and she absolutely loved this. So if you're looking for a recommendation on that side of things, my mum loved this. Not as much as The Greek Escape, but very similar and close to. This is maybe... She would rank them The Greek Escape, The Spanish Promise, and then The Christmas Lights. So The Spanish Promise came out at the end of March, and it was published by Pam Macmillan, so big thank you to Pam Macmillan for sending me that. And the final arc that I have to show you is Women at the Front by Heather Sheard and Ruth Lee, which I also talked about in my wrap-up because I read this one last month and I ended up rating it 4 out of 5 stars. This one is non-fiction. It is a historical book about qualified doctors that were women, Australian doctors during World War One. Super fascinating read, nice collection of stories about what they did and what it was like, and it has some really cool photos in the middle. One of those books. This one is already out, so you can already go out and get this one. Would definitely recommend for anyone out there who loves history. Next, I'm going to be moving on to the books that I purchased in March and April, which is another 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 books. But I'm pretty excited about all of them. So the first one is C.G. Drew's latest book, which is Paper Fury, if you're familiar with Kate's Instagram and blog, and that is The Boy Who Steals Houses, which has a lovely yellow spine and back actually. Looks great on the shelf. This book has been ruining people's emotions on Instagram and I'm so excited to read it. It's probably going to be one of the books I pick up in the next coming weeks. I'm really excited to read it. It came out a month ago and it's all about two boys. One of them has autism, I think the main character has autism, and they are just sort of a bit down on their luck, so they get by living in people's houses when they're vacant, so when people go on holidays and stuff. So this is going to be a real tearjerker, I think, just like her other book, but I'm super excited to read it. The next book that I bought I've heard absolutely nothing about, but I'm really excited. I discovered it when I was doing my monthly blog post for releases coming out in that month, and that was Internment by Samira Ahmed. This book sounds haunting. I'm so excited to pick it up. I don't know when I'm going to pick it up. I don't think it's going to take long to read. But it's set in like a futuristic or a near future America where Muslim Americans are forced to live in internment camps. And it's about these characters sort of rallying to try and gain their freedom back. And I think it's going to look at a lot about different perspectives and Islamophobia and all sorts of topical things like that that are relevant in today's society, in all honesty. So I think this is going to be a very reality checking book. So if you've read this one or you've heard anything about it, I'd love to hear what your thoughts on it because I really haven't heard anything on this yet. The next book that I picked up was Always and Forever, Lara Jean by Jenny Han, which is the third and final series in the To All the Boys I've Loved Before series. Last month, in March, I read P.S. I Still Love You. P.S. I Still Love You, which is the second book, and it was really enjoyable, and I just was in a bookstore and I was looking at it and I was like, you know what, I really have to finish this series. So I picked it up and at some point I'll just sit down and binge through this because these books are just binge worthy. This next book I was so excited to pick up. I just can't remember for the life of me when I bought this book, but that is Girls of Paper and Fire by Natasha Engan. I never know how to say those things. But this book, I have been so excited for this book since its release. It was on one of my monthly release sort of watch out books, and I've never bought it because of how big it is. I really want a smaller version, but months have gone by and I've become too impatient, so I went in and I bought myself a copy. Whenever I did that, but I can't remember, it's just magically appeared on my shelf. And I'm so excited to read it. This has got so many good reviews and so many people were talking about it when it first came out, so I'm really excited to pick this one up and I can't wait to share my thoughts with you guys once it's read. The next book I bought, I pre-ordered for when this one came out, and that is The Cold Is in Her Bones by Pieter-Nel van Arsdale. Difficult name. Much prefer this cover, I think, to the original one, which I'll show you here. Or I think that might just be the hardback or the American one. I actually prefer this one. This is way smaller than I thought it was going to be. It's set in a village where there's like a demon that comes around and possesses women or girls in the village at different periods, and nobody knows what's going to happen. I don't know if the girl dies or anything bad happens to them. It doesn't seem to say anything about that. But the main character, Mila, knows that her term's probably coming soon for whatever reason, and so she's deciding that she's going to try and do something about it. So she's ready to tackle this demon and rid the village of this curse when she becomes possessed. So I just thought this sounded like a good little thriller. Really excited to just pick this up. Given that it's such a small read with pretty big font, I think this will just be such an easy read. How many pages is it? It's not even 300 pages. Super short read. The next book I bought I'm very excited about. It's Now I Rise by Kiersten White, and this is the second book in to Now and I Darken, which is the Vlad the Impaler gender swap retelling that everyone was talking about maybe three years ago or so, and I'm just a little bit late to the bandwagon. I think the last one came out recently-ish though, so people are sort of still talking about it. I read the first one on audiobook, which was absolutely phenomenal, but too slow. I couldn't speed it up enough to like intensely read it and still comprehend what the person was saying. So I've decided to continue this series via physical books so that I can just aggressively read the words on the page and get through it. I'm so excited to read it. Such a good, like, female lead, women power, sort of sassy main character going on with lots of blood and stabbing and just challenging all the norms. So I'm really excited. I wish I knew the original tale of what this is based on, because I don't know much about Vlad the Impaler. So I'd love to know what is being drawn upon and how true the story is to the original. I don't know, but very excited. Also love the colour, beautiful green. So the final book that I have to show you is a nice, gorgeous hardback, which I'd been waiting to buy until I could get my hands on the hardback of it, and that is King of Scars by Leigh Bardugo. I will show you it without the jacket on. I'm sure you've probably already seen it at this point, but I'll show you again. So it has this lovely gold foil embossed, nothing on the back, but on the front and the spine, absolutely stunning. So super excited about this one, as everyone is. I am fully up to date, well done me, on the Gritterverse. So I've read all of the Smoke and Bone, I can't remember what the series is called, the Grisha trilogy, and the Six of Crows duology. Loved it, such rich and beautiful characters, and this one is following a minor character from the first original trilogy, which is Nikolai, and I'm super excited. Oh, actually, I'm not quite up to date. I haven't read The Language of Thorns, which is the small, I don't even know what that was. I mean, it's not a full book, so technically I'm still up to date, but everyone's been reading this and loving it, so I can't wait until I have a bit of time to just sit down. I usually take my time with my Leigh Bardugo books to digest the world and the characters, so I think I'm gonna wait for like midwinter to really get into the vibe of this book. So these are all of the books that I bought over the last 2 months. I'm really excited to read all of them. I think it's a pretty decent haul. Hopefully I won't forget to do a haul next time, but I'm really excited about all of these books, and I've been sent some really interesting ones from publishers as well, which is nice and refreshing. So let me know in the comments down below if you've read any of these, if you're planning on reading any of these, and your thoughts on any that you have read. So I will see you in my next video. Goodbye.